afternoon, everybody. Mike here, making a video today about some of the running costs for the Hellcat. So this is a very common question that I get on the channel, really a number of questions about how much does it take to fill the car up when you go to get gas, how much is your insurance, all that good stuff. So wanted to make a video today just covering all the costs associated with keeping this car on the road. So first things first, when you go to get gas for this car, well, I live in the United States, of course, and gas is very cheap here. I always get either 93 when it's available or 91. Most of the time 93. Some stations don't offer it around here, but usually 93 or at least 91. So the highest grade that I can get. And it's still only about $2.60. So it's extremely cheap, and it's even cheaper than that in some states, like in Texas and things like that. And I live in Pennsylvania, so gas is really cheap. Either way, regardless of what you get, you're looking at about 50 bucks to fill it up currently. Now, of course, that's subject to change and something to think about. Not all that long ago, gas was like over $4 a gallon here in the U.S. So it is something to think about. Obviously, the car does not get great gas mileage. I mean, I'd say that it gets really good gas mileage for what it is. I average about 15 miles per gallon, which I think is decent, considering 700 horsepower, and I don't exactly drive the most economical way all the time. So I think it's pretty good considering the car, but it's obviously pretty bad. If I was driving a Toyota Corolla, I'd be getting like 30 miles per gallon average, which is more than double. And I could just put the cheapest gas in it. You could probably get away with putting cheap gas in cars like this, but you don't want to. A car guy, that does bad things to your mind if you're going to put shitty gas in a car like this. So can't be doing that nonsense. But anyway, about 50 bucks to fill it. It gets okay gas mileage. It gets you about 250 miles on a tank. So I do find myself filling this car up a lot, but not as much as Mustangs, which is one thing I always hated about those damn cars. They have a 14-gallon fuel tank. You're always filling it up. It's so annoying, which is this at least lasts for a while. Now, the Corvette lasted a long time. You didn't have to fill that thing up for like 2 weeks. So this is like once a week, depending on how much you drive. I don't really drive that much, so gas is not a big concern for me. If you're someone traveling all the time, the gearing in this car, when you're in 6th gear on the highway, your revs are like at 70 miles an hour, you're over 2,000 RPM. So this car would actually get better gas mileage, and I'm sure that's why the 8-speed automatic gets better gas mileage, but this car would get a lot better mileage if the gearing was a little different. Not that I'm complaining, just saying. So, that's one thing to consider. But gas, really not a huge cost associated with this car. It's really not that expensive. The other big one is, of course, how much is your insurance? And I was actually pretty surprised when I went to go insure this car because it is much cheaper than the Corvette was. And I don't know if it's, maybe the car has back seats or whatever, but in my opinion, this car is much more dangerous than the Corvette was. I mean, of course, it's faster in a straight line, but it's also just generally more of a handful. But so this car is about 2,500 bucks for the year, and I don't know the exact dollar amount, but of course you can do the quick math there and find out how much it is per month. So I was actually pretty surprised by that. Now, I should say, of course, insurance is one of those things that it's just different for everybody. It's weird, insurance is just stupid at the end of the day. It is how it's different. For me, it's 2,500 bucks. For the next guy, it might be 3,000. The guy after that, it might be 1,500. You just don't know. So it can certainly be different for everybody, but 2,500 bucks to me seems pretty reasonable, especially, again, it's about half of what the Corvette was. So, the Corvette was awfully expensive in my opinion. And I have the same, and they're worth about the same amount of money, and I have the same coverage. So I guess it really just comes down to the classification of the car. And again, just to touch on that, I'm also with Progressive. I almost forgot to mention that. That's the company that I'm insured with. So, I don't have like shitty coverage or anything like that. I didn't skimp on it. I have full coverage on the car, and I have like $300,000 medical, property damage, all that good stuff. So pretty good coverage, and it's about 2,500 bucks for the year, which in my opinion really isn't that bad. And of course, all of this stuff, is going to be much cheaper with a regular car. But I think for a car like the Hellcat, 2,500 bucks a year is pretty reasonable. Last but not least, I want to talk about some of the stuff as far as the actual physical car is concerned. So, of course, for anybody who's been following the channel for a while, you know that this thing has had some mechanical issues. And if you haven't seen those videos, definitely go back and check them out. They're just 3-minute little update videos. So, yeah, it's had its mechanical issues, but it's all been covered under warranty. And so was the rental car, the beautiful Toyota Corolla that I used while the car was in the shop. So, although it did have some things go wrong with it, everything was covered and it was no cost to me. But, definitely consider those things because this is a brand new car, so there's always going to be some bad apples and things that go wrong with new cars. But if you're planning on keeping something like this very long term and driving it, consider the fact that there may be some cost down the road as far as mechanical issues are concerned. And apart from that, also definitely think about your tires as well. I've talked to many people on forums and everything because I've noticed that my tires are wearing really fast. And I was like, well, you know, I've done a couple little burnouts and stuff, but I don't really do like that much crazy stuff with the car. I really don't, despite, you know, the videos and everything. And it looks about, even if you drive this car like a complete grandma, your tires are going to be worn out by about 20,000 miles. That's just what people are saying, everybody. And I'm, you know, pretty shocked by that. That's not exactly a ton of miles, especially these tires aren't even like the most aggressive summer trains. These are just basic Pirelli tires. So that is one thing to consider. If you're keeping this car pretty long term, you're probably going to be replacing your tires a lot. Well, just replace them once and then put better tires on the rear. That would be my advice. But you know, also a little thing to think about. Other than that, I really can't think of anything that has cost me any money. Of course, I haven't had the car that long, but you know, oil changes and stuff like that, or things that you got to replace on any car, it's definitely not going to be a major cost. It's just everything is basic maintenance. It's not like it costs anything more than the regular V6 rental Challenger that you get. So really not a whole lot of extra costs associated with the Hellcat as far as from what I can see so far. So that is going to pretty much do it for the Hellcat running expenses. And you know, I'm sure that I missed something because I could have sworn that I had 4 ideas in my head, and I know that I only got to 3, so I have no idea what the other one was. And if I missed anything, definitely mention it in the comments and I will do my best to answer it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Always appreciate it. If you're stopping in for the first time, please subscribe and take care. Have a great day.